action. I used to be really harsh on myself. One day I hired a coach. He taught me something really important. You are going to spend the rest of your life with one person, and that person is you.
We better make that journey amazing.
Today we're talking about the importance of self-love and how I cultivate it. Self-love comes from actions that support your physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. I grew up being very hard on myself, and my self-critic was really loud. I would blame myself for not being enough, not meeting society's expectations. I was also comparing myself a lot. I didn't like the skin I was in until I started my self-development journey, which started only in my early 20s. What I realized is that I was feeling that way because I was seeking for outside validation. Others people's opinion mattered a lot to me back then. What I realized is that if I kept treating myself that way, it was going to be really hard to feel confident. I believe that everyone has that voice inside of them. We're shutting it down because of our conditioning, because we went through different traumas, because we were told to be quiet, to not be loud, to be the gentle little girl. I'm Olivia Simet. I'm a wellness and fitness coach, and I'm also known as the self-hatred healer because I've helped thousands of women heal their relationship with themselves and feel empowered. Self-love is based on three components, which are self-acceptance, self-worth, and self-compassion. Acceptance meaning you accept yourself as you are. Self-worth meaning you know you are worthy no matter your shape, your appearance, your bank account, your career. Self-compassion meaning you are your bestie. It's a practice that grows with time, with mindfulness, with intentionality. So self-acceptance really starts by letting go of trying to be perfect all the time. I learned that perfection is an illusion. It really helped me with the things that I didn't like about my body. I remember that when we moved to the US with my husband, I had in mind that I really wanted to do a boob job. Because I didn't really like my boobs back then, I started doing the research, booking the appointments, going to the consultation, saw about 4 surgeons, and then I found the right one. In my head, it was like, I'm gonna get my boobs done, I'm gonna feel so much better afterwards, so much more confident and sexy.
I won't lie, I was really scared. So the surgeon sent the proposal with steps that the surgery was involving, was about to sign, and I was like, you know what, let me check online and do some research. And then I found out that there was this whole community of breast implant illness, BII, where women experienced a bunch of side effects after having their breasts done. Not everybody, of course, but it's a common thing. They were all saying that
once they removed their implants, all of the side effects disappeared. So when I read that, I freaked out and I was like, I think I'm not gonna get my boobs done. But I was also facing the fact that I didn't like my boobs. So I started accepting the fact that my boobs were not perfect.
According to me, not according to my husband.
I realized that it's completely natural to have part of our body that we don't necessarily like. I started really striving for acceptance and self-love and loving myself as I am. The second thing that I did is that I noticed how I speak to myself internally. There was a time in my life where I was stuck in a victim mentality.
I was like, why do these things keep happening to me?
Until I watched a mentor that said, how you talk to yourself determines how you operate in the world. I realized that if I was asking questions, what can I do to better my situation, I was way more likely to move forward. Tony Robbins says, how you use your language determine what emotion you feel. When you let go of judgment and self-criticism and all of this stuff that don't really serve you, you create your own inner support system. Really learn to accept and allow my thoughts to be. If you want to know more how I overcame the pattern of negative thinking, feel free to watch that video where I speak more in details about that topic. Third thing that I did was I stopped comparing myself to others. For me, that one was really big because I grew up in Paris. I remember being in 4th grade. During recess, kids would compare their sneakers and their shoes on who had the latest fashion trend. I remember walking to school and being scared of being rejected because I didn't have the latest Nikes or sneakers on trend. And if someone didn't have the latest sneakers on trend, they would get comments and be excluded from the group. This constant comparison and pressure to fit in really took a toll on me. I felt that the only way to be accepted and loved was to have the latest and most fashionable shoes. I would ask my mom, who was a single mom and she was working really hard, to buy me the latest Nikes so I don't feel rejected or excluded. Years later, I realized that my need to fit in was really driven by the primal human need, which is love and being accepted. I realized that this need was at the root of many decisions and actions that I took in my life. Like when I was in a job that I hated, for example. It really felt good on my resume, but it didn't make me happy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Many times I work with clients that tells me that they compare their bodies and performances to other people when they work out, when they go to yoga. And I used to be that person too. This is proven to lead to unhappiness and low self-esteem. You cannot compare your journey to someone else's journey. You may be comparing your step 1 to their step 6 or 7. We are all on different journey and on different paths. Comparing yourself to others leads to never feeling good enough. That really creates anxiety and depression. There is 3 things that really help me get out of the comparison trap. The first one is that if there is anyone or anything that makes you feel inadequate or that brings you in situation where you are gonna start comparing yourself, that could be social media or a certain person, you wanna start pressing the unfollow button. And if those are real people, avoid being around them until you change your mindset with comparison. The second thing that really helped me was being grateful for what I have. Someone else's life might seem better, but there might be another person out there that wish they had what I had. If you want more details on my gratitude practice, you can find it in this video linked above, where I explain in details what I do for my gratitude practice. Third thing that I did when I got into comparison is seeing it as a source of, I can do that too. If they can do that, I can do that too. And really thinking how they were able to achieve those results. That got me inspired, curious, and that changed the whole game. You can be like, okay, I wonder, I'm curious, like, what is this person's habit? What are they doing in the morning? What are they doing in the afternoon? What are they doing at night? The only real competition that you have is who you were yesterday, who you were last month, who you were a year ago. Through that retrospection, you'll be able to really notice the growth and be really proud of your growth. My first tip is setting boundaries. Only a few years ago, I was struggling saying no. I wanted to please everyone, and I didn't put my needs first. Then I had a kid, and then I realized that I only had that much time and energy in a day, that if I kept saying yes to things that didn't really matter to me, was literally saying no to things that mattered to me. People pleasing and not being able to say no is developed from childhood upbringing. If you were criticized a lot or felt rejected, it's one of those self-sabotaging habits that we may develop to seek validation and love that we were missing when we were a kid. Coming back to that primal human need, I struggled so much saying no that I took a mini course on how to say no assertively. And here is what I learned. 1, saying no is always gonna feel difficult. Number 2, you need to have the word no in the sentence. It's so difficult because we think that saying no is gonna damage the relationship with the other person. Yeah, and when you don't say no, you put that other person first and you second. If you wanna be seen as confident and strong and empowered, you need to learn how to say no. Decide how much time and energy you wanna spend on people and activities. For me, as a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, I only have a very limited time for friends and other activities. So I dedicate once a week to meet outside with my friend for something fun. I stick to those limits and I don't let others take advantage of my time and energy, because I have a routine. I thrive in my routine. I love waking up early. I have all of those projects I'm working on, and I have a kid that I drop off, I pick up, also family times in my calendar. My next tip is setting self-care time. I became a mom. I realized it was really hard to fit self-care in my calendar. Many times it will lead to me feeling exhausted because I did not listen to my need. And as women, we tend to put ourselves last on the list. It allows me to stay consistent. Personally, my favorite self-care is journaling, taking power naps, going to bed early so I can wake up early. Instead of working until super late at night, I prefer to go to bed early, wake up early, and work on my projects with a fresh mind, which is proven to be more productive. The next thing that I do to cultivate self-love is eating and nourishing my body with healthy food. Growing up, I turned to food for comfort. My food habits were based on highly processed and sugary food. For years, I not only gained a lot of weight, but I felt sluggish, I felt lethargic. And then when I decided to make a change, when I was in that fitting room, I realized that some food caused me to feel energized and vibrant. Other food left me sluggish and lethargic. That many of us eat for comfort, for pleasure. For many of us, it's a cultural thing. We also eat to numb ourselves. What helped me is just practicing mindful eating, taking the time to chew, to savor, not distract myself during meals, because when you eat while distracted, you're not really paying attention. You're eating way faster, and that leads to overeating. It takes approximately 15 minutes for your stomach to signal to your brain that it's full. But when we distract ourselves and eat while watching Netflix or while responding to emails, we just eat more, and that leads to overeating and feeling bloated and also gaining unnecessary weight. So the second thing when it comes to eating healthier is not trying to cut all of the unhealthy food. I really focused on introducing instead of cutting. Introducing new recipes with stuff that I was not used to eating before. My palate really changed. Things that I used to love before, like sour candies, now feel way too sweet and taste way too artificial. I still eat sweet, I still eat chocolate and dessert. I treat myself with the most quality food that I can, with minimal ingredients, savoring every bite and not making myself feeling bad or guilty about it. The other thing that I did to really make sure I eat healthier is preparing my food in advance. Every Saturday or Sunday, I make sure we have healthy food available, so we are set up for the week and I don't have to worry about cooking during the week except for some minimal adjustment last minute. It saves me a lot of time. My dog is snoring again. Developing a self-love practice is about honoring your needs. At the beginning, it felt really strange and uncomfortable for me to say no, to set boundaries, to do all of this stuff that I shared with you. It's about putting yourself first and being your best friend. That's it for today. See you in the next video, and don't forget to hit that bell button and subscribe. See you later.